And welcome to Chat Sports' presentation of Day 2 of the 2018 NFL Draft. Cam Rogers coming at you alongside Tom Downey. We thank you for coming along for the ride on this Friday evening. Tom, a lot of storylines to track here.
Whole lot of them. We had some guys slide down the draft board in round 1. There's going to be some great value at the top of round 2. I think there could be some teams trying to move up for some notable players, and we'll discuss that throughout the show as well.
Absolutely. Let's get to some news here. We had a trade earlier this morning. The New England Patriots have acquired right tackle Trent Brown from the 49ers. And all of a sudden, Tom, we were thinking to ourselves, why did McGlinchey go to the 49ers last night? Oh, it makes sense now.
Well, now they're going to trade Trent Brown, so McGlinchey will be their right tackle. And the pick number 95, I think, is very specific for the Niners. John Lynch has said he thinks there are 100 players that are going to be impact starters. That's why you go into the top 95. You get one of those guys right away there. So I actually like this pick a lot more, this move a lot more for the Patriots, Cam.
Yes.
You get a starter at tackle. You trade down, whatever, let's say 50 spots or so. I like this move quite a bit for New England to get a player. I think the Niners kind of undersold Trent Brown a little bit.
Trent Brown coming back from a labrum injury. John Lynch recently said that he would be good to go for training camp, but all of a sudden, things are coming together for New England's offensive line that I have been railing against of late, especially at the tackle position.
They've really added a lot of players, and I actually think too many. Now that you get Trent Brown, I would have preferred, if you want to get a guard to eventually replace Shaq Mason, for example, take one later. Go get an impact player like a Harold Landry or even a quarterback of the future in Lamar Jackson. I don't like what the Patriots have done, but I do love getting Trent Brown. That was a great move by them.
All right, so the 49ers have McGlinchey locked in there at right tackle, it would seem. So beneficiaries on both sides, if you will. All right, let's get to the next piece of news here. Sticking with the 49ers, Jaquiski Tartt has an extension. Really good young player there for the 49ers.
Niners taking care of one of their own, so I think they feel good about him as a starting safety. Of course, is why they extended him. Not that expensive for what I think is a pretty talented player. We'll say around the $7 million a year range. That's fair market price. It's a little on the pricey side, but it's only for 2 years. I do want to see what the guaranteed money is, but I like the move for San Francisco. And, of course, they kind of got money to burn.
And it looks like they're going to have a couple of good safeties back there with Adrian Colbert and Jaquiski. All right, let's get to the next piece of news here. Jason Witten is headed to the broadcast booth. Tom, you've been all over this. What do we know?
Well, everyone was reporting Witten's going to return. And Jerry Jones came out and said, I've talked to Jason. He hasn't made up his mind yet. I think he's kind of made up his mind. I think they're going to let Jason announce it himself after the draft. Maybe that's what Jerry Jones is trying to do there. But I would be very, very surprised if Jason Witten played next year for the Dallas Cowboys. He is going to go take that cushy Monday Night Football broadcast booth role. So good for Jason Witten. There had been a lot of confusion, including from myself, whether or not there was going to be dead money on Witten's contract. There's not going to be. The restructure bonus the Cowboys gave Witten has not been paid, so no added dead money on that end. But for the Cowboys, it is a massive blow because you take a look at their tight end depth chart right now. That is a mess. Swaim, Blake Jarwin, Rico Gathers. The casual fan outside of the Dallas area and teams who are fans of Oklahoma State and Texas, for example, and Baylor, they haven't heard of those guys before. There are 9 career catches among those two. Tight end, all of a sudden, is now the Cowboys' biggest draft need. Maybe it happens in round 2. Maybe it's in round 3. Maybe they try and swing a trade at some point. But they got to find a new tight end. I don't think they're that high on Rico Gathers. Had a great preseason. Was hurt all of this year. I don't think the team really trusts him right now. Tight end is a massive, massive need for the Cowboys, along, of course, with guard, receiver, safety, DT. Cowboys all of a sudden have quite a bit of need that they got to figure out how they're going to address those with only a handful of picks this year.
All right, from one
early on, I should say.
From one Hall of Fame tight end to another here, talking about Antonio Gates. Sure looks like he's headed away from L.A. and going somewhere else.
Well, they had to make the job Hunter Henry's. So I get that, and it's a little tough for the Chargers because you don't want to just send a franchise icon packing. But Gates is old. Like, that's the reality of the situation here. Maybe the Cowboys make sense for him all of a sudden.
Who knows?
He's not much of a blocker these days anymore. So you got to make Hunter Henry your starting tight end. You got to get him more involved. Chargers have a lot more success when he is involved. He's going to be a high fantasy draft pick as well for those of you fantasy fans out there. But maybe Gates goes somewhere else. That would be frustrating for Chargers fans to see because you love him, but it is the right move based on an on-the-field perspective.
Okay, so we'll see what happens there with the future of Antonio Gates. Meanwhile, some draft-related rumors here as, you know, you have the Jets selecting Sam Darnold. They have a surplus of quarterbacks now, Tom, so they're trying to get rid of him, Bryce Petty included.
Look, I still kind of think this might be the old, hey, we want to trade Bryce Petty, so let's mention that he is available and leak that, oh, teams want to trade for him, kind of like the whole Eric Flowers Giants deal. Now, maybe Petty gets shot for like a 7th or 6th round pick, but I'm not giving up anything of note there. Bryce Petty at best is a backup quarterback. He's not worth anything more than that.
All right, let's get to the next piece of rumors here. Talking about Seth Roberts and his future. What do we think here, Tom?
Again, this is more obvious that this is coming from the Raiders saying, hey, we want to sell him because, of course, they traded for Martavis Bryant. I don't think they want to make Roberts their number 3 receiver. I think he's not going to be. They don't want to pay him that much to be a number 4. Maybe you can find a taker. Again, best case, I think it's going to be a round 6, round 7 selection there because Roberts, a nice player, but are you going to give up a pick and pay him when you could just end up being cut? So don't expect much in return for a Seth Roberts trade for Oakland.
Tom, we should have our answer about Earl Thomas tonight. What is the latest buzz here?
I don't think it's going to happen, and I've never really thought it was going to because I didn't know if Seattle A was going to come back down and lower their price tag. And now with the Cowboys, you got to get a tight end, a guard, a receiver. Can you give up a second-round pick for a safety?
Right.
I love Earl Thomas. He's an immensely talented player. I still think it's going to be a long shot. I suppose it could be possible. I think the Cowboys would still do it if Seattle said yes to number 50, but I don't think Seattle wants to fully enter their rebuilding phase. They're still thinking that they can win right now, more of a reset than a hard reboot. So we'll see what happens. I don't think it's going to happen, but it continues to be talked about, so we'll make mention of it here. But if I have to guess, no, Earl Thomas on the Cowboys this year. Maybe if he hits free agency. Maybe we'll see something crazy then happen next offseason.
One of the more curious developments last night, Tom, was the fact that